Good morning, everybody out there in Wild Earth Land, and welcome to Live at the Waterhole with myself, Sean Taylor, and the best crew in the business, Wild Earth crew. We're going to be with you for the next 2 hours, visiting some of Africa's most unique places, looking at what is at the waterhole, hence the name of the show. Thank you for joining us, and was a Friday to everybody. I hope you guys are going to have a good day and an awesome start to your weekend. And it's a great start because we begin with a massive Nile crocodile chillaxing here at Tembo Plains in Zimbabwe. And I'll be honest with you, that looks really comfortable. I like that. Looks like a nice soft mattress. Little bit of give, but enough support. I like that. I like that a lot. And he's quite a big boy as well. And he's got those beautiful 3D little shapes with his tail. His typical reptile with those scales and just looking absolutely ridiculously menacing. I love it. So guys, as usual, we love to hear from you. We love to hear your stories, get your questions, get your comments. This is an interactive show, so please feel free to join in, especially if it's your first time with us. We'd love to hear from you and find out a little bit about you. You can engage with us via our social media platforms, which are on screen currently, and you can WhatsApp us as well. And we will endeavor to answer any questions that you may have, or just to laugh at a few of your comments. I see a few people have come through. Mr. Elemental, thank you so much, Mr. Elemental, and welcome from all the way from Australia, Western Australia. Hey, I hear the weather there, Mr. Elemental, is interesting, to say the least, at the moment. I hope you guys are happy and safe and keeping dry. Yes. Oh, Cambridge, we've got someone from Cambridge University. What a big croc. Yeah, he's a big boy. So the best way to tell whether it's a male or female is by looking at that snout. That very wide snout with that doesn't come to a point, that almost rounds off. That would be a male crocodile. And the females tend to have a much kind of narrower snout going into a point. So this one would be a male. It's difficult to tell even if you turned them over on their back and had a look at the obvious. Reptiles, similar to birds, have got something called a cloaca, which is a hole that pretty much everything happens out of. So the only way really to sex them properly is actually to check with that cloaca to see whether you feel any male parts or whether you don't, and then you know straight away if it is or isn't. But everything is internal with these guys, otherwise I guess he wouldn't be lying that flat. And good morning, what from Moonlight and Midnight. Oh wow, okay, I'm not too sure where that is, but thank you for joining us so late. It's really cool, man. I'm really happy that you're with us, and hopefully it's a cracking show for all of us. I forgot to turn my sound on. There we go. So guys, as you know, I normally have a theme, and I think for Friday we're going to have a little bit of fun to get into the weekend. So the theme today is wild lies and safari truths. Okay, so what I'm looking for is when we see certain animals, I'm going to give you 3 facts about them. You guys need to tell me which one of them is the lie. So there'll be 2 truths and 1 lie. It's up to you guys to tell me which one is the lie. Now we can have a little scoreboard. I've got a pen and paper here, and we'll see who at the end of the show gets the most answers. And pretty much the only thing I can do is give you a virtual high five. But it's just to have a bit of fun with each other and to test your knowledge. Because I was thinking the other day, we spend so much time together, and you also have so many other amazing presenters, both on game drives and on the the waterhole as well. You guys learn so much. It's amazing. So I reckon that this should be fairly easy for you guys, because I watch the comments sometimes on YouTube when I'm watching my other colleagues in action, and your knowledge is quite impressive. So it'll be interesting to see how well you guys do today. It looks like a fairly mizzy, kind of windy day. So this crocodile is going to be kind of getting as much sun as possible. You can see the old solar panel is out. And oh, nice. We've got a white-crowned plover that's just come in there. 2 of them. That's cool, man. Very nice. Very similar to the wattle plovers. But you can see that very distinctive crown on their head there. And they're both flown in, and they both probably are like, oh, whoopsie, that is not a log. That's something very different. It's nice to see them. You don't often see them. And they are actually now lapwings. My apologies. They used to be plovers. They are now lapwings. So cool, man. Would help if I turned my phone on silent. Rookie error, guys. Oh, good morning. We've got knowledge. Thank you so much from Bulawayo. Hey, I'm getting a few Zimbabwean friends coming through every now and again. Last on Monday, I think it was. Guys, you know what I'm like. My memory is shocking. I think it was Monday that I was on. We had a friend from Bulawayo as well. So, thanks so much. It's nice joining. And we're in your home country right now. Tembuplanja, which is, it really is. Zimbabwe is one of my most favorite places to actually garden. It really is phenomenal. And I've got to tell you that Mana Pools, for me, is probably my most favorite place to do trails. It is just absolutely phenomenally stunning. Especially walking along that river frontage along the Zambezi River, overlooking Zambia on the other side. It just is, there's a different feel to it. You know, some game reserves you can almost feel, jeepers, we have a massive crocodile on the other side there as well. Geez, that bird is quite, that white-crowned lapwing is not, he's not in the best spot. He's kind of between two eating machines there. Very, very cool. And these guys are actually interesting. These white-crowned lapwings guys, they actually wet their bellies. So they'll go into the water and wet their bellies, and then they'll go and sit on their eggs to cool their eggs down when it's really, really hot. It's quite interesting watching them do that. And their nests are always along the sandbanks, normally along permanent water sources such as this. You don't find them normally around temporary water sources. It's normally permanent, especially when they're breeding. And if you're unsure if it is, because it can be difficult with the white-crowned lapwings and the wattled lapwings, you just got to look at the coloration on here. And you'll see that this is actually the only lapwing that has a black and white pattern, whereas the wattled lapwing does not have that. Oh, we got some stuff coming through. Thank you so much, Mercedes-Benz. It's good to be back and good to have you with us. One of our #1 fans, so thank you, Mercedes. It's really cool. Hopefully we get some really good sightings today. It's off to a good start with these crocodiles. And I tell you what, I out of all the animals in the bush that I have the privilege to be able to show people, I would say this is the one animal I trust the least. They haven't survived for as long as they've survived for no reason. These guys are the ultimate apex predators. They will survive global warming. They will pretty much survive anything. These guys, they're just next level. It's just next. Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it. They are amazing creatures, and you see the lapwings having a chat, having a chat on the bank there. But it's these guys are also quite interesting. They seem to be kind of they don't worry about hippos and crocodiles at all. I've actually seen these white-crowned lapwings moving around crocodiles fairly close to them. You know, I think for a croc this size to waste, because remember they're not like us, they're not endothermic, so they don't create their own heat, thus their own energy. So whenever they exert any kind of force, it's like a battery basically. They drain their battery. So for that, any of these two crocodiles to swing around and grab one of these lapwings, it wouldn't really serve much of a purpose. Basically, it's essentially like a small packet of knickknacks, really, in the animal world. So I mean, these things would probably get away with moving around, and of course, hippos are vegetarians or herbivores, so they won't bother them either. But for some strange reason, whenever there are buffaloes or elephants or anything that come down to the water, these guys protest bitterly. But I think the reason for it is because they lay their eggs. Lapwings and plovers tend to, which are the same family, they tend to just lay their eggs on the floor. Some species make quite a very rudimentary kind of nest, but most of the time they just lay their eggs on the floor, and then they just defend the eggs basically. So my assessment of them complaining about the ellies and buff is because they're coming from the land towards the water, that they possibly could trample the eggs, and that's why they get so grumpy. But they are they can be quite strange, and they are fairly rare. You don't see these guys very often. That's why I'm harping on about them a little bit rather than our croc, which we see quite a bit, because these guys are actually they're very interesting. Their eggs are like a creamy white color, and they've got like little black splotches. I see there's a smaller croc that's trying to pretend to be a log, but you don't fool us, buddy. We can see you. It's like Crocodile Island there, man. And this will be where we're just come out of the height of their breeding season, of their egg laying season. It normally starts at the end of our winter here in the southern hemisphere, and extends right up till now. It kind of starts to taper off now in November, and then during the hot summer months, they are tending to their chicks. And I see there's some pied wagtails just on the other side. That's just flown over the croc, just on the other side. And I see there's some carmine bee eaters flying past every now and again too. So there's quite a lot of birds happening here. Last two shows has been quite birdy. Can I say that? Does that make any sense? A birdie show? But of course we're going into summer now, so all the migrant bird species are coming back, plus all the bird species that normally hang around all year round are breeding. So there's plenty of bird activity around, and that's the one thing that a lot of photographers that come from overseas that visit our beautiful countries forget, is that the summertime, sure, it's hot, and it can be humid as well, but there's nothing that a very cold beer cannot fix, let's be honest, or a nice chilled glass of wine. But you'd be remiss if you're a serial safari goer, you'd be remiss not to come out during the summer season just for photography reasons, for the birds and the baby animals. You know, from December onwards, we've got baby impala around. There's often young zebras, young wildebeest. It's an amazing time in the bush. It's really cool. And then of course all your birds of prey are around. It's really awesome. As we move over to founders, and we have some piggies, we've got a blessbok, and we have a zebra chillaxing here. But I think it is time to move on to our first theme question of the day. And I think we'll start with the warthog. So remember guys, the theme for the day is wild lies and safari truths. So essentially I'm going to give you 3 facts for an animal. 2 of them are correct. 1 is an absolute fib. And you need to tell me which one is the lie. So let's start with the warthog, because they are the closest to us. First come, first serve. So let's give it a go. So I'm going to give you 3 facts. You guys tell me which one is the lie. Okay. So number 1, warthogs kneel on their front knees to feed because their neck is too short to reach the ground. Number 2, warthogs back into their burrows so they can face outward and defend against predators. And number 3, the warts on their face are actually fat deposits that protect them during fights. You tell me which one is the lie out of those. And remember, I'm keeping score. So you guys got to... actually, you know what? I say I'm keeping score, but to be fair, I'm probably going to at some stage mess this up. So excuse the draw and the movement here. I just need to make sure I have a pen that actually works. Even though it's my daughter's school pen and it's bright purple, it will do. Okay, perfect. Write that down in my illegible handwriting. Okay. So remember guys, I'm looking for the lie. I'm looking for which one is the incorrect statement, not the truth, but the lie. Okay, just so you guys know. And while I am waiting for you guys to tell me what's happening, I will chat to you a little bit about the piggies. So we have one piggy that is unacceptably not happy with the fact that the others are moving off and now it has to get up. Yeah, he looks like he possibly had a Puzza Thursday moment, and it's not too excited about getting up. Okay, so Mr. Elemental, very nice. I've got you marked down here, Elemental 1. So Elemental, you are 100% correct. Number 1 was the lie. Which was warthogs kneel on their front knees to feed because their neck is too short to reach the ground. That is not true. They can reach the ground, but what they do is they kneel on their front knees so that they can get very close to the ground to be able to dig with the top of their nose and to be able to get to the roots of the plants. So well done, Mr. Elemental. 1-0 to you. As our piggies walk off after their time in the spotlight. And also, guys, tell me, what are you doing this weekend? What's happening in your lives? Are you just chilling this weekend? Have any of you got any plans to go camping or go to a game reserve? Let me know what your plans are. I'd love to know what everyone's doing this weekend. So I've got a question from Spas. Spas, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You're asking me, well, first of all, Spas, hello, as you greeted me as well. I hope you're well. great to see Tembo Plains again, and your first time seeing a white-crowned lapwing. Have I ever seen them anywhere else? So, Spas, I see them quite a bit in Chobe, actually. So I'm in Chobe fairly often guiding, and the white-crowned lapwings as well as the wattled lapwings are around quite a bit there. So I am fairly fortunate to be able to see them. So thanks so much for your question. As we move over to Kenya, to the Great Rift Valley, and they left before I could introduce them. We had some Chakma baboons chilling on a termite mound there. Off they go. They're just not interested today. Couldn't be bothered. And then we got a young viewer here, man, 10 years old. Dean, thank you so much, my man, for your question. And thank you. It's so good to have kids listening. You guys are the future of conservation. So really do appreciate you joining in. Dean, you want to know, do crocodiles poop? So, Dean, yes, they do. I said at the top of the show, they've only got one opening, which is called a cloaca, which birds have got as well. So, because they've only got one opening, their urine and feces mix together, and it comes out that hole. So, it comes out almost like... I'm sure, Dean, you've seen bird poop as white. It's got that white coloration, and that's because of the uric acid and the feces mixing together. And crocodiles are fairly similar, obviously a bit bigger, and crocodiles, their stomach acid is unbelievable. It'll just pretty much dissolve anything. We're talking hoofs, we're talking hair, we're talking teeth. It just dissolves pretty much everything they eat. So it's a bit thicker. And it comes out in almost like a, how can I say, like almost like a sole of a shoe almost, but it's like a whitey brown color, also from the calcium and everything that they feed on. But yes, that all comes out in one shot. So it's very, very productive. But thanks for the question, Dean. So awesome. So we got some questions to what we are doing over the weekend. Kathy, you're saying that the rugby is on the cards for the weekend. Yes, I think half the country will be watching the rugby, Kathy. I hope we do quite well as we head over to Old Donyo. And this is a hammerkorp or hammerhead. This is pretty much a water-dwelling bird. So you find them around watercourses, whether it be dams or rivers. You normally see these guys around, and they make massive nests, huge big nests in normally forks of large trees along riverbanks and along watercourses. And they're big. I mean, when they're flying around, they actually look like a raptor. They're quite a big bird. And their nest, like I was saying, was big. It can be up to 2 meters high and 2 meters long. It's big. It's a big nest. You'd think it was like a big communal weaver nest, but no, it's them, and they make it from all these bits of sticks and leaves and everything. And I have seen bees taking over those nests. As we've got a dove that's just flown in here. I've seen bees take over their nests. I've seen leopards. I've seen genets. I've seen snakes. It provides homes for a whole bunch of different animals, I've got to say. But huge. I've even seen them put bones in there, plastic, bits of clothing. I actually vividly remember in the Classerie, there's a section of the Classerie quite up on the boundary of Kruger Park, right up on the Olifants River. There are still some people that own houses in the game reserve there, which they've got staff on who live on the property. And I saw a children's pair of red underpants in one of those nests. And it was a bit of a concern when I first saw it, because I thought, oh, whoopsie, something has gone awry here. But it actually was a Hummerkorp that was building the nest, and obviously found the underpants somewhere and thought, you know what, this will be a great little add to the nest. Hopefully they were clean. It seems like a pretty quiet day there. I know yesterday as well it was pretty quiet too. But here we go back at Founders, and I think this is a Bonteboek. I said Blessboek, but I believe this is a Bonteboek. I don't see these guys very often, but I'm almost positive with that white face it is a Bonteboek. Very, very strange animals, part of the family of Tsessebes. Yeah, I think guys, actually, I think I'm incorrect. I think this is actually a Blessboek. I think I was right the first time. I think that mask has thrown me off a bit. So this is indeed a Blessboek. And yeah, they are related to the Tsessebe side of the family, so the loping antelope. They prefer very open areas. They don't like very thick bushveld areas, and they also don't like it in areas where it's very, very hot. They struggle a little bit in the heat. So you often find them around where they are here in the Eastern Cape. It's absolutely perfect, where it's a little bit cooler, lots of rain around. And he's looking very interested in something that's going on. You can see he's snorting a little bit there. I wonder what the problem is. You can see that tail, very reminiscent of the black wildebeest, with that white tip. Nice camera work there, confirming that it is indeed a boy. Sure, what a domain. Look at that in the background there. What a place to live, eh? Wow. And this guy I've seen moving around quite a bit. Every time we come to the waterhole, he is always somewhere here. And like wildebeest, the males, when their territories do get passed on, they do tend to hang around zebra, wildebeest, impala. They don't like living on their own. You know, like male kudu are quite happy to chill on their own, as are male giraffe. But they actually don't like it. They prefer to be with other animals, and then they just become that weird uncle with the white face that hangs around all the time. What else is happening this weekend? Lenny, thank you so much. You're fostering a pregnant domestic cat. Wow, Lenny, that's awesome. Tell us, is she due to give birth? Is it imminent this weekend, or is it just a difficult pregnancy? Let me know. As we move over to this stunning bird here in Makgadikgadi Pans, this is called a black-winged stilt. Very, very cool bird. It does have another leg, I promise. They do tend to kind of stand on that one leg. It's not uncommon to see them do that. And what's very interesting about that bird, I think it's just there at the bottom of the screen there, it has the longest legs relative to its body than any other bird in the world. As a blacksmith lapwing, it's lapwing day today. How cool is that, guys? Should be a model, those long legs. Looks like they're on stilts. The juvenile looks very, very, very different. They look almost like there's a common word, well, I wouldn't say common, but there's a water bird called a green shank. I've confused a young blackwing stilt before with a green shank. They look very, very similar.
Hello, I'm James Hendry, and I'd like to take you on a very different kind of safari through the wild heart of Madagascar. In Undersea, we'll track the Indri's eerie call through misty rainforest. Then it's east on to Masuala, where lemurs leap through the jungle, coral reefs glow beneath the waves, and adventure waits around every bend. Come, let's explore it together.
Oh, even a hyena coming into the action as well now. Oh my word! She's stalking the hyena now. Leopard, hyena, lion, all together in one shot. Oh. Woo. This is action-packed. My full name is Cedric Leslie Dold. The best driver at Wild Earth, it is me. I believe I'm the best driver. I think so, because best part of my job, I say, is just to try and look out for these animals, track them down. I love tracking animals. I love looking for, fresh tracks, and if you can find them, it's just at the moment of accomplishment. If I wasn't a presenter for Wild Earth, I would be the drummer for AC/DC. This is brilliant.
Real, you say the best kind of roadblock? Absolutely. Look at this.
Hello, girls.
And then Lenny, thanks so much. You're saying your cat won't tell you when she's going to have the kittens, but it's soon. Yeah, cats are like that. They'll just spring it on you at the least possible convenient moment. As we have some, you saw while I was jabbering away, this big marabou stork had its wings out, and they are absolutely humongous, these guys. Just huge birds. We've chatted about them. We're fairly lucky to be able to see these guys fairly regularly. And they are, and you can see the one sitting by the rock there is actually sitting. That's fairly common with these big water birds. They sit almost on, they're able to almost like bend their joints differently and then sit on their haunches, which is quite interesting. These guys also have just come out of their breeding season, and they have their eggs are quite big. They're about 80 centimeters. It's quite a big egg, and it's like a drabby white color, but it's a really big egg actually, which would make sense completely. And then the other little birdies next to them are called yellow-billed storks. Also very common on the show. We see them quite a lot, surfing around in the water for food. And you can see when the males, so they also coming out of their breeding season now. And you can see when the males are breeding with the females, they get like almost like a pink wash to their wings, which fades as they stop the breeding with the females. But if you see that pink wash, then you know. And what's interesting as well about these yellow-billed storks is they actually create shade for themselves, believe it or not. Again, in Chobe, melanistic marble, our favorite place, obviously, they'll actually hold one wing up towards the sun as they're sifting around for fish to give themselves some shade when it gets really, really hot. Quite interesting, actually. Aren't animals amazing? I know I say this all the time, but I mean, it's mind-blowing how clever these guys are. And I mean, I know it's like rudimentary, we'll have an umbrella or something for the heat, but just the little things the little idiosyncrasies that come with these animals and how they adapt to their environment it's pretty impressive, I've got to say. And you can hear those cicada beetles in the background and the crickets as well. And they've definitely had a bit of rain there. That water looks fairly fresh, and you can see those trees in the background there are nice and green. There's some green grass growing there around the water, so they've definitely had a little bit of rain, which I tell you, Zim went through a horrible drought over the last couple of years. It wasn't pretty at all, and it's only really been one season, hey guys, for all my Zimbos. So really you've only really had one season back of fairly decent rain, but it looks like your rain has started nice and early again, which is really good. So just an update on that sighting. Melanistic Marble was telling us that there was wild dog and lion kill sightings on the main road in Kasane. Melanistic Marble, thank you so much. You've come back and said the dogs were just walking along the other side of the road, creating a traffic jam, and the lions, which was one female and two sub-adult males, had just killed a buffalo by the side of the road. Gee whiz. Never a dull moment in Africa, am I right, Melanistic Marble? Don't you just love it? Just coming out of town, coming out of Choppies, and there we go. Just a lion killed on the side of the road. Just another day in Kasane. I love it. And I remember when I started guiding, we used to have guests that would be like, "Oh, do you have lions roaming around the streets and elephants and all of that kind of thing?" And you're kind of like, no, it's not like that at all. But there are some towns around South Africa that this kind of thing happens. Obviously, Kasane's in Botswana, but like in Hoedspruit, look at these big, the big wingspan here of these marabou storks, absolutely huge. If there is a good noise in the background, my apologies. My neighbor has decided to cut his lawn during our broadcast. Isn't that wonderful? So yeah, just excuse the noise in the background, guys. So in Hoedspruit, there are leopard that move through all the time. There's every now and again there's lions that come through and escape Kruger Park and go into places like Hazyview and Bushbuck Ridge. There was a lion a couple of years ago, actually. There was a lion spotted on Longtom Pass, which is between Lydenburg, I think Lydenburg now is Mashishing, I think, and Sabi, the little town of Sabi. So these animals, I got to say, like, I think as I got more into my guiding and as I kind of got more into the into actually, because you can learn all you want out of a book, but realistically you learn on the job. That's how this industry works. And as you kind of go through, you actually realize that the animals are everywhere. Where I live, it's not really built up yet, at least here in northern KZN, but it is coming. Belito is on its way towards me. We have a lot of sugarcane and everything around here, but a couple of months ago I saw a blue duiker, which is very, very rare. As I drove out of our estate, it crossed the road. I nearly crashed. I sent a message to my wife, and I was like, "You won't believe it. You won't believe it, I've had to pull over, I just saw a blue duiker. So yeah, you get these things moving around. We've also got serval in some of the areas here in the sugarcane. It's actually a program for the serval, because the guys obviously burn the sugarcane. So if there are sightings of any serval, they will tell the guys, and then they try and make a plan to capture before they burn. But yeah, it's amazing how many animals get out and move around. It's crazy. So guys, we're going to head over to Tau now, leave our birdies. It's a Birdie Friday. Let's go and check what's going on there. The zoomies are really testing my knowledge with birds. I love it. Keeping me on my toes. But listen to how cute this is. We've got the most beautiful Egyptian geese here with their goslings. And it looks like a full hatch as well. They normally have around about 10 or 12. They can have up to 20, but they normally have around 10 or 12. So it looks like she's on full hatch, which is great. A bit of rain there as well, too. You can see in the background there, those are actually weeds or forbs that are growing there, and that's very indicative of disturbed areas. And what I mean by disturbed areas are areas that are heavily walked on and fed on, when the soil is very loose, not very compact, and obviously all the seeds and the nutrients and stuff get kicked around, and with the water going up and down as well, it loses some of it. So these disturbed areas, normally when you get a heavy amount of rain, the first thing that grows is actually weeds and forbs. So if you had an area where there's been quite a lot of drought and you get rain and everything goes green, your first your kind of first impression is, oh, thank goodness, things are growing again. But then if you go and you actually have a look, you'll find that actually all of it is pretty much inedible. Some of your smaller antelope species will feed on these forbs. So like your animals that prefer to get their water from what they eat, they will come through and they'll feed on a few choice ones. But generally speaking, you get all these forbs that will then die away, and then the next big heavy rains, you'll start to get some grass and some plants actually growing. So that's sighting right there now with the this is the perfect end of winter spring sighting, guys. We've got the Egyptian geese with their goslings. We've got these forbs or herbs growing on the side of the water, and then we've got the elephant dung as well, which is very red in color. And with elephant dung, you can actually tell what they're eating by the color of it. So that dung being very red tells you that it's end of the season, because they've been feeding on a lot of branches from the trees, and those trees obviously they carry quite a lot of tannin, and that tannin dyes their food red. So that red dung at the back there tells you that the elephants in the area have been feeding mostly on the trees until the rains obviously come, heavier rains come, and they can start feeding on the grass. So this is just such a perfect springtime view at the moment. Everything on the screen just screams early spring, little bit of rain, end of winter. It's absolutely perfect. I love it. And we're missing out on animals. I thought today's theme was going to be an absolute ripper, but I didn't think of putting down any questions and facts for birds. I should have known. So what we'll do is we'll just discuss the plight of the Egyptian goose, shall we? It'll be fun. We're also talking about animals that are all over the place. Johan Oberholzer, thank you so much. You were saying don't forget about the hippos of St. Lucia. Yes, Johan, I agree. I've never been to St. Lucia. I don't live far from it, so it's actually quite a sin for me to have not been there yet. I tend to spend a lot of time around the Bonamanzi area because we live on the pretty much close to the beach. I think we're 6 kilometers from the beach. We don't often camp around the beach. We generally go to the bush. But I've seen videos and I've had friends of mine talk to me about the hippos. They just walk around town. It's just a given thing. You don't mess around with the hippos in St. Lucia. It's just become part of their culture over there, which I think is great. And then Helga, this is cool, man. So in Palabora, now Palabora, guys, is it's basically it's a iron ore mining town in Limpopo, on the border of Kruger National Park, and it's an awesome little town, but literally right on the boundary of Kruger, and they the cricket players had to run off the field because a pride of lions crossed the field. Can you believe it? A pride of lions. Unbelievable. I guess that's just, you just call it and just say, tell me something, Helga. Did you have to enforce Duckworth Lewis? Is that what happened? That is absolutely crazy, eh? Wow. So hectic. As we have some lechwe here. From what I can see, it looks like red lechwe, some female red lechwe. Or puku. I need to actually zoom in a bit here, guys. I have a split screen, so excuse the clicks. What do we got here? It is lechwe. Yeah, it's lechwe. I think in my mind, I was really hoping that we would have puku. But puku are quite rare. But yeah, these are red lechwe, guys. Very cool animals. Often see them running through the floodplains here in Botswana. And they have an interesting foot structure. They have got their even-toed ungulates, obviously, with the 2 hoofs, but they've got a layer of skin between the hoofs. So as they run, they're able to push the water back as well and able to jump through the water. So it's an interesting adaptation that they have to their environment, and this is very common, seeing them feeding along the floodplains. Stunning animals, honestly. The males are beautiful. They've got these big, massive, huge horns, and they're very lucky because if there are lions that come into the area, they are pretty much, unless they move away during the dry season, they are pretty much safe. They just essentially run into the water and then pull faces at the lions. But the lions have got an interesting adaptation because some of the lions in the Okavango Delta in particular actually aren't that bad at swimming. So I've actually seen lions swimming across a channel in the Delta. I couldn't believe it. I think it was my second time guiding there. And when you're studying and you've done all your work in Zimbabwe and South Africa, and then you head across to Botswana and you go into the Delta, and you see all these different animals and how they've adapted, especially when the floodwaters come through in the middle of the year. The floodwaters come through during the rainy season. It rains heavily in the highlands in Angola, and then the water takes about 3 months to get into the Delta itself, which is essentially a desert. But the water from Angola transforms the Delta into this absolute postcard of a place to go and visit. And these animals are all adapted to being able to deal with this, which is great. Such a cool sighting. We never really ever get to see these. I don't know when the last time I actually saw lechwe here on live at the waterhole. It's really, really cool. And you see them mostly in Botswana and Zambia. In Zambia, I've guided in Busanga Plains, which is a stunning place as well. Amazing for lions. And they've got a Kafui lechwe there as well, which is very similar to this lechwe. But again, in the floodplains, they're always around that area, so you don't really find them in South Africa. You only really get them in Botswana and Zambia. Look at that beautiful view, man, with that channel. And the only so these guys, like I said, hang around the floodplains, and you'll find them, you know, with the water almost covering their backs, busy moving around. But again, like that adaptation with their foot structure, as I said, they're able to move around. The only other antelope that is more water, more developed to moving around water and more at home in the water is actually an animal called a sititunga, which is a type of antelope. Now, I sadly have never seen a sititunga. They are very, very, very difficult to find. You actually have to go deep, deep, deep into the delta and go on one of the little tinny boats and go look for them. And the problem with them is they feed really deep into the vegetation. So it's a very, very slow process on the boat. You're kind of just chugging around the channels for most of the day. They're quite big, so if anybody listening knows what a bongo is, which is an antelope that you get in Central Africa, they're kind of similar size to that bongo, but they're beautiful, beautiful animals. But generally, you only see them when they're moving around and walking. If you come past and they don't want to be seen, they'll just stand dead still. I tell you what, I've looked for them. I will probably continue to look for them like I did with the Pals fishing owl, and probably my first sighting of them, I'm going to get so excited I'll probably fall right out the boat. I'm not going to lie. I do tend to get quite excited when I find something that I've never seen before. You know, as a kid, I'm sure, Dean, you'll understand, being only 10 years old and loving animals like you do. You just have these wild fantasies of seeing these animals. And you develop such a passion about it. It's so cool. As we know,
What does it take to handle the wild? Balance. Determination. Focus.
Yaku!
And gear that can take a beating so you don't have to.
Some ellies that we're approaching now.
The light on her as well is absolutely gorgeous.
So we are going to enjoy the rest of this sunset.
Wow, 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 this is absolutely crazy.
And thank you for joining us. For myself and Cam, we will see you next time.
Can you hear that? The wild is calling.
Plains in the high season, which would be May through to, I think the camps actually close in September, so it would be kind of May to August. The lions move around the water constantly. They hunt the all the animals that hang around the water areas, like the lechwe. There's plenty of waterbuck around there as well. Lots of zebra that come through too. And a really good place to see roan antelope, actually. Busanga Plains, quite a lot of roan antelope, but they hunt in the water. They actually run through the water to catch their prey, so it's quite interesting. But if you want to see lions actually swimming, you're going to have to go into the delta during the high season. We're talking like July, when the water's at its highest, and go and have a look and wait for them. There's certain islands that they move across to. Most of the local guides there kind of know areas that they go into. But yeah, the pride will swim across, especially the males when they are on their territorial walks. They will, they'll just jump in the water and go for a little paddle. It's the weirdest thing, man. Botswana's amazing. You'll see the elephants, you'll just see sometimes a trunk come past you, or the elephant using it as a snorkel. They'll come through, cross the water, go onto the different islands. The lions will swim across. Leopards are a little bit more circumspect when it comes to the swimming. They are quite adaptable. They can pretty much feed on anything. So if they do get stuck on an island for any reason, they can feed on the birds that are on the island, the small antelope, the insects, the fish. Leopard love fish if they can get their claws on them. So they'll carry on with that until a channel opens up that they can get through. They're not like jaguars in terms of swimming. They don't really like the water too much. So cool watching these finches having a little bath here. Leopard lover, you're saying Situtunga, they look a bit like a nyala. Yep, they do. They do look a bit, they're just a little bit bigger. But yeah, 100%. That's actually a good explanation there, leopard lover. They do look a bit like a nyala. And leopard lover, have you seen one? Have you actually seen a Situtunga in the wild? I'm still waiting for my first time, sadly. Just scrolling through some of the questions. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Roz, I missed your message. You said you were watching from George on the garden route. Roz, thank you so much for your message, and hello to you, and thank you for joining us. Sorry that I missed your message. And David from the UK, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm a bit jealous of you, David. I'm obsessed with Christmas. And I know now going in the UK, all the lights are going to be going up. And you guys know how to pull off Christmas that side. So, and the weather's perfect for it as well. So, yeah, I'm quite jealous of that. All those little insects flying around. These finches are really stunning. Really nice. The fire finches that were at the water have got like a band on their rump. That's quite unique, actually. This one looks like he's listening to 90s rave music. Having a dance there. Check. Cool, man. Stuck in the 90s. I dig it. There was a spider wasp that just landed at the water there. Those spider wasps, you hear them before you see them. It's like a massive big plane that flies past you. And what those spider wasps do is they are looking pretty much for our tarantula species that we get here in southern Africa, which is a baboon spider. The baboon spiders live in holes in the ground, and the spider wasps will fly into those holes. They sting them, and their venom is it actually paralyzes the spiders indefinitely. And then what happens is the spider wasp then drags the spider out, but then also will sometimes leave it in that hole, and they will lay its larvae inside the spider, cover up the hole depending on how deep it is, or it'll make its own hole, like I said, drag it out, and then when its larvae hatch, they basically eat the spider and then emerge from the ground. It's pretty hardcore, man. It's like, I should have told this story on our Halloween show. It's pretty hectic. So honey badger, you're saying, could those be red-billed finch? I am not sure. Like I said, I don't have an East Africa app on my phone. Let me have a look here. Do we get that red-billed finch here? So red-billed firefinch. Let me look at the distribution. It could be. If they come back, I'll definitely have a look, honey badger. It could have been a red-billed firefinch. Although these are very small, these little firefinches, they're tiny. I think those were a little bit too big. But I've got a really nice photo of one here. It's got a red rump. Hopefully if they come back, yellow along the eye. No, I don't think so, honey badger. It's a really good guess, but I don't remember the white spots on the breast there, unfortunately. As you can hear that emerald spotted wood dove in the background, that is my favorite bird call to hear. My family and I, we camp a lot. We love camping. Going into the bush and camping as a family is like my most favorite thing ever, besides trekking. As we move over to El Doño, our Hammerkorp is still there, and we've got some giraffe coming down. And for me, there's nothing better than early morning game drive, coming back, having breakfast, and then having a siesta in the tent and listening to that sound of the wood dove calling. I love it. Absolutely love it. It just makes me so happy. As you can hear, that noise is the Hammerkorp calling. Finally, we have an animal. We're gonna have to change the name of the show to Live at the Birdcage if this continues. But I think, yes, I did write down some truths and lies for the giraffe. So if you guys are ready, while we watch this beautiful girl come and have a drink, remember guys, because it's like 40 minutes since I did the last one. Oh great, my neighbor's now decided to use his weed eater too. Oh god. Oh. Sorry guys for the noise. So guys, just to remind you, the theme today is wild lies and safari truths. I'm going to give you 3 facts. 2 of them are true. 1 of them is a massive big fib. You need to tell me which one is the lie, which one is wrong. Okay, so for the giraffe, as we see all of them coming in, the perfect time. And before I ask, actually, you can check this male. I just want to see whether he's going to do something quickly. Let's just see if he's going to pull his lips back. No, so it looked like what he was trying to do is test the female's reproductive status, what they do is they will nudge them to try and get them to urinate a little bit. Just try and see if he'll do it for us. Just give me a second. So what he's trying to do is he's trying to get a smell of the urine to see whether there is any pheromones in that urine that would possibly tell him whether she is ready to mate or not. I don't think anything is happening at the moment. And then what they normally do is if they do get that smell, they pull their lips back. And it's how they engage an organ between their nasal passages and the brain called the Jacobson's organ. Engaging that organ tells them whether the female is in heat or not. And then it's game on. But I don't think she is. He's just walked off in disgust. Oh, I'll just go check someone else's urine. What fun. Okay, guys, so I'm going to give you 3 facts. Which one is the lie? So a giraffe's tongue can be up to 80 centimeters long and is black to prevent sunburn. Number 2, giraffes only need to drink water once every few days, getting most of the moisture from the leaves they eat. Number 3, baby giraffes can run within 10 hours of being born. So which one is it? Is it the 80 centimeter tongue, only needing to drink every few days, or a baby being able to run within 10 hours? Let me know. 1, 2, or 3, and go. At the moment, Elemental is in the lead with 1. Because literally it is the second animal we've seen, and I had no questions for this for the lettre. Ronell, absolutely stunning sight of giraffe. I agree completely. A nice journey of giraffe, or an aggregation of giraffe, which means a very loose social structure, because these guys don't have a herd structure really, like you would see the other even-toed ungulates have, in terms of a dominant bull in a herd. They don't really have that structure. They just hang around each other for a food source, or females are the youngsters, but they don't, they walk off, and it's not a problem. There's nothing really holding them together as a herd. And Ollie Virch, thank you so much for your question, and hello and happy Friday to you as well. You would like to know, how do you work out the differences between a male and female giraffe? So Ollie, have a look at the 3 females that are clumped together on the left side of the waterhole, and then have a look at the male that is on the right side of the waterhole, at least our right. So if you look at the females, there is 1 young male there as well, pardon me, so it's 2 females and 2 males. My apologies, I just saw as he came around. So if you look at the females that are by the water, if you look at the ossicles, which are like the horns on top of their head, we call them ossicles. They are quite thin, and they've got clumps of hair at the top. Whereas if you look at the males, they have got, their horns are quite thick, much thicker than the females, and they are bald on top. And the reason for that is for fighting. So what they do is they swing their necks and they hit each other. It's called necking. And that constant hitting each other actually stunts the hair growth on the horns. And of course, the horns being bigger pack more of a punch. And what's interesting with these animals, phenomenally, as Mother Nature always does, they go for kidney shots. That's their aim. So sometimes you'll see them fighting for hours, and you'll think, what are they trying to do? They are going for kidney shots. They know that's the weak spot. It's the softest part of the underbelly, and so they swing and try and hook up as they swing and hit the kidney, and that is generally the game changer. So we got some answers coming in, and our winner is, I think it's Roe or Roa. can't be sure. R-O-A, I think it's Ro. You are correct. Number 1 was the lie. So I said a giraffe's tongue can be up to 80 centimeters long, and that is actually incorrect. Their tongue is typically around about 45 centimeters. So I added on another 35 centimeters. So, it's raw, pardon me, that an R was left off. So raw or row, you are on the leaderboard. Thank you, Raw. I appreciate it. Good job. So they use that tongue to wrap around the branches and to pull the leaves off. And I tried to catch you guys out a little bit, because I did say that the tongue is black as well, to prevent sunburn, and that is actually the truth. Their tongue is black to prevent sunburn. But I thought, let me see whether you guys, but again, see, the thing is you guys watch so often, and you're also clever that unfortunately sometimes I have to try to catch you guys out. Otherwise, I have had it before on the show where I've asked questions that I've thought were quite clever and difficult, and you guys just absolutely bust it. So well done for catching that one. Mo, you're saying it looks so peaceful without the Ellies. I miss the Ellies. I actually really do miss the elephants. So I haven't, I think this whole week, I've been on twice now, and I think I've seen 1 or 2 elephants the whole week. And normally the guys call me the elephant guy. So I think I've actually, I think I've upset them. I've hurt their feelings. Because actually the first animal for our theme today was the elephant. I thought, of course, we're going to see elephant, but it has not happened yet, at least. Nice, beautiful day. Nice setting with that umbrella thorn tree at the back there. Indicative tree of Africa. Now I'm wondering, so because I can see it's rained there as well. Looks like we've had rain pretty much throughout the southern and central regions. I'm wondering whether possibly the Ellies have not gone moved towards a water source that has more food for them. Maybe there's a particular kind of vegetation that they're feeding on at the moment, which has pushed them away from this waterhole. Time will tell. These beautiful boys, yeah? Their tail's a perfect little fly swat, isn't it? I hear some arrow mark babblers in the background. So don't forget, guys, I also asked, what are you up to this weekend? Let me know what you're doing. I'm trying to think what we've got planned. What have I got planned for the weekend? So I'm running tomorrow. I'm going to do a little run with friends of mine. We'll probably do a 10 or 15 kilometer run in the morning. But to be honest with you, I don't really have too much planned for the weekend besides watching a bit of rugby. And possibly going for a bicycle ride on Sunday as well. But other than that, I think it's going to be a fairly quiet weekend. No kids sport, because at the moment our kids here in South Africa, or at least the public schools, are writing examinations. So I would say to you, my kids will be studying this weekend, but that's probably a lie. I think it's going to be more like just hurriedly reading through something rather than actually studying. But maybe they will surprise me. This is a big guy, so the males normally grow to about 5.5 meters. That's generally where they top out to. And the females sit at around 4.5 to 5 meters in height. But I mean, it's such a small amount that to try and judge males and females, unless it's a really large male, it's not really that easy with size. Marula shortcake, you're saying I'm going to bake. I'll tell you what, just your name, Marula shortcake, I could do with Marula shortcake. That sounds amazing. But you're going to bake? I'm guessing that's what you do for a living? You bake for a living? Or is it just a hobby of yours? And then Johan, you're doing the park run. Very nice. So guys, we're going to go over to Tembe. And I mean, let's just all hope and pray that there's elephants at Tembe. Otherwise, they're just going to have to call it Tembe Park instead of Tembe Elephant Park. It's a Christmas miracle. We've got elephants. Just one by the looks of things. Interesting. Having a little bit of a sand bath. So this is something I've noticed guarding is when this is what this elephant is doing right now is generally tells me the weather's not going to be that great over the weekend. And the reason I say that is because normally when there's very, very hot weather around, they normally cover themselves in a big thick layer of mud. That mud actually helps to keep them really cool. And I've noticed before when there's a front that's come through, when they cover themselves just in a thin layer of sand, generally it means that the weather, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's rain coming, but yeah, it's almost like a little weather app. Just the way that the birds behave, the animals behave, can often tell me kind of what's going to be happening over the next couple of days. And I generally prepare in terms of guarding. What are we going to do with the guests? Because generally when the weather changes, as you can see, it's quite windy around and not too much sunshine. Besides a little bit in East Africa, the animals tend to move off into the thicker bush. And the reason for this is because the wind and the rain, if it is raining, it dulls their senses. So their sense of hearing, their sense of smell, they don't like it. You know, they rely on all three senses. Your prey animals certainly rely on all three senses to keep themselves alive. And when one or two of those senses are dulled because of the wind, they really don't like it, and they become very, very skittish. So I heard of impala the day before. They were very chilled on game drive, tend to come together in a small grouping, and are very skittish on the next game drive when the weather changes. And how do these animals know this is happening? Is the barometric pressure. Oh, geez, he's got like pretty much half of Tembe's sand on his back. The barometric pressure. So as the pressure rises, they know that the weather is changing, and adversely when it drops, and it's normally quite a sharp rise or drop, that the animal's behavior changes completely. They're very, very sensitive to that pressure. Some human beings are as well. We've pretty much lost most of our our ability to be able to sense stuff like that. Some people are more sensitive than others, but yeah, they're very, very sensitive to pressure. That's why like a day or so before floods, often the animals will move up to higher ground, because the drop in pressure is so intense that they know that there's major rain coming. Isn't it amazing to be able to be your own weather app? How cool is that? And he's just disappeared. Ollie, you're saying you're going to be having drinks with mates tonight. Very nice. And then watching the rugby with your friends. That's really cool, Ollie. I wish you an amazing weekend, man. I see there's a bit of rain happening there by the looks of things. As we move over to Botswana, and an elephant that is misbehaving, I think. He doesn't look like he is behaving too well. I see he's looking for that fresh water coming out of the pipe there. We might see him put the end of his trunk over those prehensile tips and try and suck some of the water out. And Marula Shortcake, thanks so much. You've come back and said you're baking just for fun. You're going to be baking cookies. Very nice. Sharing is caring. That's all I'm saying. Sharing is caring. I love cookies. So guys, see me, so we've got our Ellie friend here. I think it's time to ask our questions on the Ellie. So remember, the theme is which one is a lie and which are truths. I'm just looking for which one is the lie. So I'm going to give you 3 facts. I'm looking for the first one to give me which one is the lie or the fib. At the moment, we've got Elemental and Raw joint first place, each with 1. And essentially, you get a point. The first person to come with the lie gets the points. So here are the 3 facts. Which one is a lie? So number 1, elephants can hear with their feet by detecting seismic vibrations through the ground. Number 2, an elephant's temporal gland swells and secretes fluid when they're stressed or in must. And number 3, elephants are the only mammals that can jump. So which one is it? 1, 2, or 3? Let me know. So
let's go and take a look. See you out there.
Join our expert guides at dawn for a live, immersive safari as the bush comes to life.
Found ourselves a chameleon, and look how he's changed color.
Every sunrise brings new discoveries.
Pound for pound, a leopard is one of the strongest cats around.
Ask questions, share your thoughts, and connect with nature live and in real time.
Great excitement, great happiness.
Start your day with adventure.
here with a male leopard.
Behind, it's very normal to see that spine, but those hip bones, I think if he turns, I'll be able to give you guys more of an idea of how old I think he is. It does look like that those neck muscles are starting to strain a little bit with that head being lower than the shoulders, and you can see those ear flaps have bent backwards. The cartilage is starting to get weak. So I'll confirm if he turns, but just by those ear flaps and his weight, I would say this elephant is probably in his mid-50s, early to mid-50s. They generally live to about 65 years in the wild, generally. This obviously is area dependent. With Botswana, obviously, with Botswana being mostly desert area, besides obviously the Delta and Chobe area as well, where most of the water is. These elephants, as they move around, are feeding on very dry vegetation, and it wears their teeth down. And so in some areas in Botswana, they don't live as long as the elephants in the rest of South Africa or Southern Africa. But at the moment, he is loving his life. He's getting the freshest, coolest water in the area, and life is good. Yeah, so if you guys look at that head has dropped below the shoulder line, which is his shoulder muscles are now starting to struggle with the strain of that massive cranium and those tusks. So yeah, I would say this guy is bang on around about mid-50s. He's quite an old boy. Seen quite a lot. How cool would it be? Tell me something, guys. If you were able to communicate with this elephant, what would you ask him? What would you want to sit down with this old boy? He's been around 50, 55 years, roaming around the bush in Botswana, free. What would you ask him? What questions would you have for him? It must be such an interesting conversation. And as usual, I have a guest appearance here from my daughter, who's walked into the office after her exam, which apparently went quite well. Yes?
Yeah.
Good. Shame it's an old boy. Can you see?
Thought it was a girl.
No, it's an old boy. Shame. Just
Why is he
enjoying it.
alone?
Well, it's normal with bull elephants. Once they stop their breeding or they're unable to breed anymore, they generally hang around on their own, so it's not uncommon. Kathy, you're saying I would ask him if he used to break into the ablution at Lloyd's camp. So yeah, these Ellies, they've got reputations, let me tell you, of breaking. Whenever there's water, a scarcity of water, they always break things. I can't tell you how many water pipes I've had to mend with these guys breaking. It's just next level. And they're so clumsy, man. They just, they don't walk around things. They just walk through stuff. So the amount of pine poles that they've broken as they've walked past things at the camps over the years, and amount of poles they've stood on and broken the fence so they can get through stuff. Yeah, they are not subtle, that's for sure. So I wonder if he is the Lloyd's camp breaker-inner, Kathy. Who knows? I think what I'd love to ask him would be, have you noticed in your 55 years as you've moved around, have you noticed it becoming more difficult to hang around human habitation, or have you found that conservation efforts are actually working and you're less likely to come across any angry people in the farm areas and stuff like that? Because Botswana are really good with trying to move the animals around, and the animals have got a lot of space. But I'd love to know whether he believes that it's getting easier or whether it's actually getting worse. It'd be very interesting to find out from him, because these guys move around over hundreds of kilometers. So he's definitely been through a few villages, come to a few fence lines. It'd be very interesting to find out what's happened. I believe it's Jinxifer, I think. You're saying, what does he think of us humans? Yeah. I think in Botswana, just walking in Botswana and spending time with the animals there, I think they're okay with humans. I've got to say, I feel a lot less. Sometimes, especially in northern Kruger Park, the elephants can be quite aggressive towards human beings. Whereas I find in Botswana, they're a lot more chilled, especially on foot. So I think, at least for him, you might find that he says, oh, you guys are okay. You're a bit strange. Like, you wear weird colors and you're very loud and you're a bit odd, but I don't mind you. You can hang around in my territory if you want. That's probably what he would say. And then, Kathy, you're just confirming that Lloyd's Camp used to exist in the early 90s in the Savuti Channel area. Kathy, were you there when the Savuti Channel was flowing? We had a bit of seismic activity. I can't remember the year now. And the channel has stopped flowing completely. It's now completely dry. So, Kathy, I wonder whether you were one of the lucky ones to actually have seen the channel. Apparently, it was stunning. Unfortunately, when I started guiding in Botswana, the channel was dry. So, it'll be interesting. Looks like he's wearing a little bit of base, a little bit of makeup there, just above his. We've got some lapwings calling in the background there. Always loving that water. So at his age, guys, he's struggling to get the amount of nutrition that he needs on a daily basis because his teeth will be quite worn down. And so he will be forced eventually to go into areas where the vegetation is soft. So he'll look for places around permanent water mostly, and feed mostly on vegetation. You probably find at his age, the days of feeding on bark and trees are pretty much gone. He'll be essentially looking after roots, or looking for roots, grass and leaves. And that's why quite often, people talk about elephant graveyards. You do get areas where you find a lot of elephant carcasses, but it's not because of any other reason, but because that they go into those areas where the vegetation is soft and they end up passing away from starvation, essentially. Well, starvation might be a bit too strong, but just they run out of nutrition. They just aren't able to absorb enough nutrition, because obviously a fully grown, in their prime elephant can only digest about 44% of what they eat. And as they get older, that number drops into the 30s. And if he's just not ingesting enough food, it's a big problem for them. So, they go into riverine areas, and it's quite often you find elephants dying in those areas because they just eventually can't deal with the lack of nutrition. Kathy, thank you. You're saying that you left Botswana in 98 before it flowed again. Okay. Yeah, I'm hoping I get to see the channel flow one day, because apparently it is a stunning sight. I camped alongside the channel in May. I had a group of guests that came out, and we did an overland trip through Botswana, and we camped along the channel for 3 nights, I think it was. It's a beautiful, beautiful area, but it would be phenomenal to have that channel flowing. Yeah, it would just be amazing. But let me tell you, I'm sure, Kathy, you know, the game viewing in Savuti is next level. We had the most amazing sightings there. Really, really good sightings. So I've got a question from Lucy. Lucy, thank you so much for your question. You're asking, how do elephants communicate with one another? So Lucy, most of their communication happens with rumbles that generally emanate from their stomach. And those are below our hearing range. So unfortunately we don't hear them. But most of the time, oh, gee whiz, finally. It's not one tusk, unfortunately, but finally we get our elephant here at Aldonio, and things have returned back to normal. So Lucy, so they generally rumble to each other and communicate that way. I see this elephant's also quite happy to be back at the waterhole. And they'll also communicate not just with tummy rumbling, which they hear, they can pick up with their ears, as well as feel with their feet through the ground as well. But they'll trumpet at each other. They do have some vocalizations as well. And they communicate as well visually. So most of your animals out in the bush go on visual cues. So the elephants will have their ears out, head up when they are trying to intimidate someone. They have a few aggressive things that they do, like they'll wave their front foot back and forth if they're getting irritated. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of different things, very similar to humans, being visual, but most of it is vocalization with us, whereas them it's mostly that rumble that they release. And thank you for your question, Lucy. As you can see, the weather's a little bit better there, so he's covering himself in mud rather than the sand. He's obviously expecting the pressure's holding up, so he's expecting a little bit of sunshine over the next day or two. It's nice to see that waterhole so full as well. We kind of just need the zebra, the gangsters, to come and try and get him away from the water, because it looks like he's really enjoying himself there. I'm going to go quiet for a minute just so that we can hear the sounds of him drinking and the slurping that he does with his trunk. Isn't it amazing? And did you see now how he kind of just parts that thin film on the top of the water just to get rid of some of the particles that are floating so that he can have a drink before he carries on with his bath. So cool, man. Looks like he's run through a couple of bushes. See, his right ear's quite tattered. It's got a few holes in it. I thought for a second there he was going to drop down on his bum and sit in the water. That would be awesome. So you probably find, so we used to normally having the 6 males around the water here. We've been fairly fortunate over the last few months to pretty much see them all the time. But as with anything, everything has a lifespan in terms of how these animals move around and work. And so you probably find with that rain and that burst of greenery that's growing there, these elephants will move to different areas to go feed on the different kinds of vegetation. Because remember, I was just talking now about they don't absorb a lot of what they eat, and so they are fully aware of areas that they need to go into at certain times of year to get the different minerals, macro and micronutrients that they need to be able to be fit and strong. So you probably find that pretty much it's just they've spread out a little bit just to go and feed on certain things. And once that has stopped, they probably will come back into the area. They don't have territories like other animals. They're not like lions or leopards where they've got a fixed territory and they have to work within that territory. These guys don't even have a home range, really. They wander. Their life revolves around food, water, and reproduction. That's pretty much what they. I actually have a friend that's very similar to that. But that's what their life revolves around, essentially. You see those big ears flapping, getting that nice cool air over the veins in the ears. That's very, very important to cool these guys down. That cool air cools that blood down in the veins in the ears, which is then taken to the heart and pumped towards into the rest of the body, and it cools their body down by 3 to 5%. It's huge, 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 huge. That's a massive thing just for them to be able to do. So it's like an original aircon unit. And it looks like fun. Deb, thanks so much. You're saying it's like taking a sip and washing your face at the same time. It is. It's multitasking, Deb. That's exactly what it is. It is the ultimate multitask. Have a bath, throw some mud on yourself, have a drink. I mean, honestly. And they say males cannot multitask. Well, Deb, as you can see, it is happening in front of us. And they can fill that trunk with up to 10 to 15 liters of water, depending on the elephant. It's a lot of water that they can store in that trunk if they need to. That trunk is phenomenal. Just the most amazing appendage. So it's basically the extension of the top lip and the nose is what makes up the trunk. And that trunk will have anything between 50 and 100,000 individual muscles that elephant needs to learn how to use, which can take up to 3 months or so. So you often see a very small elephant with its little trunk moving around, and it just cannot use this thing. It's like a little aeroplane propeller. It just goes round and round, and eventually at the waterhole they just got to dunk their face in the water and have a sip, because they just cannot get it right with their trunk. It takes a little bit of time. And as you guys know, these ellies love pushing down trees, and the rule of thumb is any tree that fits between their tusks they are able to push over. And what they do is they put the trunk between their tusks, and they lean their massive forehead against the tree, and they rock back and forth until they break that tree. Essentially what they are trying to do is, depending on the area, so for instance in Mana pools we get a lot of trees, they're called Anna trees, A-N-A, Anna trees, and sometimes they have to push those trees over to get the leaves, and then also what they do is they'll push the trees over to get the roots. I think there might be another elephant joining us soon. And they're wasteful eaters, these guys. They will literally eat the tip of the root and then they walk off. So elephant management is a huge bone of contention. These guys, an individual elephant needs 1,000 hectares in its lifetime. So you literally, the rule of thumb, management rule of thumb, is 1 elephant per 1,000 hectares. And that is basically to give it enough food, but also not to disturb the biodiversity, because that's the biggest problem with these guys, is the biodiversity with the amount of damage they cause. So we see them push a tree over and off they go, but that tree was home to insects, it was home to birds, it was home to snakes. That the tree's roots could have been incorporated into a termite mound, that now that elephants pushed it open, broken a few chambers, and now the heat within that the termite mound is different, and now those termites cannot grow any fungus, which is what they feed on. So you've got to really control these guys. Otherwise, that biodiversity and Mother Nature is a cycle, so it's a circle essentially, but it has many links, like a massive bicycle chain. And that chain is only going to work on that bike when it's running as a whole. Take one out, and number one, even if you tried to fit it back onto the bike, it wouldn't fit properly. But number two, even if you couldn't fit it back on, you're not going to be able to ride. You're just going to spin those wheels. And that's essentially what the circle of life is like here out in Africa. Everything has its place. Everything's got its meaning, even mosquitoes, which in the summertime makes no sense to me. But anyway, they feed on the algae around the water to help with algae growth. The mosquitoes, that's what their job is to do. And you take one. And it's normally the smallest ones, not the biggest ones. Generally, nature can recover if you take a few of the bigger animals out, or at least the degradation of the biodiversity it's longer. But if you take the very small creatures out, like your termites, your dung beetles, little things like that we don't pay too much attention to when we're on safari. Those are the ones that keep those chains in order. You take one.
Even a hyena coming into the action as well now. Oh my word! She's stalking the hyena now. Leopard, hyena, lion, all together in one shot. Oh! This is action-packed. And that's it for this morning's drive. She's just got an impala, everybody. And we're going to be heading out and seeing what animals we can find.
Out here, every moment counts. As a Wild Earth explorer, you won't miss a thing. Watch the Wild Earth channel ad-free, 24/7, and rewind if you want to catch something again. Enjoy behind-the-scenes videos, fireside chats, and early access to travel offers. It's the best way to stay connected and be part of the Wild Earth family.
Remember that the head had dropped, and that's a telltale sign that he's starting to get quite old. And they generally will not fight for any mating rights when they get to that age. They obviously, in some smaller reserves, if they get the opportunity and there's no younger bulls around to contest with, they will. But in an open system or a big system like here at Aldonio, they've got a short period of time to be able to mate before they get chased by bigger bulls such as this boy here. It's just never ending. He just throws water and mud. I think he just likes the way it feels, to be honest with you. So guys, I don't know whether we're going to get another question in with any animals. We'll have to see. I'm going to have to possibly call it and give the scores, but we're going to head over to town now, see if we can maybe get another animal question in before we finish. I think we're going to finish the way we started with some birdies, and these are called African spoon bulls. Very cool birds, quite common as well. I'm sure lots of you that there's a yellow-billed stork that just flew past now. I'm sure a lot of you that move around and are able to get around the different waterholes and rivers in our beautiful continent. These guys are around quite a lot. I actually have a question for you guys. I know we don't have a lot of time, but I've got a question. Let's see who can get this. If you're seeing a bird flying, okay, how do you tell whether it's a stork or a heron? Let me know. There's something that you look for while the bird is flying to be able, even if you can't identify exactly what stork or heron it is, there's a way in which it flies that tells you if it is a stork or heron. Let me know, okay? And these guys these spoon bulls often follow crocodiles and hippos around because these guys love water mollusks or snails. And so often when the crocs and hippos move, they disturb the soil, and often these guys will grab an aquatic insect or a mollusk as they move around. Ollie, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And Ollie, have an amazing weekend. Ollie's just saying thanks for the session, myself and the crew. Ollie, have a great weekend. Enjoy it. And hopefully we will see you next week, or at least talk next week, should I say. This bird's very unique, guys. It's something that you won't see or get confused with. That spoon-shaped bill is very, very unique to this bird. Even the juveniles have got it. Also, quite a big egg, up to about 70 centimeters when they lay their eggs. Quite large. And their nests are also like very similar to the hummerkorps that we spoke about. Quite large. But generally in reed beds or flooded trees. So like Kariba would be a perfect place to see these guys and their nesting. But they do nest on the ground if there's no predators around. Oh, and we've got some white-faced whistling ducks. Very cool. Also fairly common. See these guys fairly often at the water. They are very cool birds, actually. I've seen these guys feign an injury. So if there's a predator that is eyeing out one of their chicks, one of the adults will pretend to have a broken wing or a leg and walk away from the chick to try and attract the predator, to give the chick an opportunity to escape. Isn't that amazing? So guys, I've got to go through them very quickly because we've got a couple of minutes left. But Kathy, you're 100% correct. Herons tuck their necks in, whereas storks fly with their necks straight out. Keith, leopard lover, leopard lover, you have a question, sorry. But Keith as well, bang on, you both are right. The herons fly with their heads tucked in and the storks fly with their necks straight out. I suppose it's to be able to hold the babies when they deliver them. So you guys remember that old wives' tale? You were delivered by the stork. I think as a baby I was too big. I would have actually broken the stork. Clear catch, 100%. Herons fly with their necks in. I just cannot catch you guys out, sadly. I'm going to have to think of more things to come up with. So guys, we have a couple of minutes left. Again, the show went so quickly. It was a nice show, actually. Some birding. Very cool. Thank you so much for keeping me entertained with all your questions and comments. I appreciate it. Really cool way to end here with our spoonbills and our whistling ducks. I can hear the Egyptian geese calling in the background. So guys, I wish you the best weekend possible. Have a good one. Behave yourselves, especially while watching the rugby. Hopefully the boys do it. And whatever you're doing this weekend, please be safe, please be responsible. And I look forward to joining you guys next week, where hopefully we will see a few more animals. See, there's a red-billed teal over there as well. I heard a go-away bird calling. And there's some impala and a waterbuck. Okay guys, enjoy. Please be safe. Much love from myself and the team. Have a great one. Cheers for now.